Uh, Now I would like to invite someone to talk to us about art. He has over 20 years of experience as a curator in several countries. He has the only private gallery of Costa Rica, and he has been helping hundreds of artists basically show their work all over the world. So Orlando Sotela is gonna talk to us about art in the 21st century, especially focused on the role of the curator.
Thank you very much. Well, hello again. It's a pleasure for me to be here and really thank Dr. Otto for his support, for his friendship, special friendship, and to be here. So I will talk to you a little bit about our presentation, our exhibition, that it's called Costa Rican Art, New Horizons, now here in Albany, Georgia. I'm going to share you with, I will share with you my speech. Let me just take my glasses out. It is always an honor and a privilege for me to be able to exchange thoughts in this beautiful country, the USA, that I carry in my soul. The human warmth with which you all receive me every time I come back is definitely memorable. And for that, I think only of you. I have lived wonderful experiences throughout the years during which I have visited the USA as an art agent and a cultural manager. Well, getting into the subject, I will try to be as brief and punctual as possible. Supported by 38 and a half years of career in promoting art and culture, I can assure you that any country with the respect that each other deserves, or everyone that deserves, which doesn't have art and that doesn't have any culture, it is just as if it didn't exist or as if it were dead. Beyond a commitment, we really have in front of ourselves an enormous responsibility towards all future generations, that is, making all different disciplines of an art stand out. This without leaving aside, of course, science, technology, research, and any other necessary advances, especially in a time of crisis like this, I mean, in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. During these years, I have been working in Costa Rica and in so many different countries around the world, promoting art. I actually represent the only private art gallery there is in our country, as Otto told. And I'm also the director for art development of the Antigono Gallery, the only private gallery that we own in Costa Rica. I also have the honor of also being the secretary and cultural manager at the Catholic University of New Spain and the International Academy of Social Sciences. This commits me to show part of this sphere of life, not only locally, but also internationally. Precisely, I made a commitment to myself around 10 years ago to be the director of a private gallery on one side and to be a cultural manager on the other, all at the same time. So what is the cultural management? Well, this work involves many things, because any event that one can devise, or any project that or any project that one proposes to carry out, definitely not only has certain logistics, but we also try to generate positive in mind changes, including enriching various populations, both urban and rural. With the purpose in mind, we have carried out work with reaching every corner, every town, where many of the children were the ones that root customs and traditions in their hearts and spirits, especially those that carry art and culture with them. We'll hopefully share in the future from generation to generation culture as part of the idiosincrasy of their country. We have a moral obligation to be able to develop this cultural management. I don't know what the case of the USA or Latin American and some other countries is like, but it is choking, impressive, and very satisfying to be a part of this event with some of many personalities from so many countries. We are now honoring us with their presence. And with that, with that seed in mind, I want to plant an idea so that one day in the near future, it will germinate. Let's work so that cultural management begins with children. If adults already learn and acquire a knowledge or experience, why not transmit it to childhood? The stage in which awareness is created, where the change which so desperately need can begin to grow. Returning to my original point about the cultural management aims to be dynamic, and for that is need to be able to adapt to change and modern times. Through the pandemic, we have to devise series of projects, for we suffer a lot economically. We promoted roughly now around 300 different artists, and most of them live through the very difficult situations. So what does do as a manager? Okay, again, adjust and deal with adversity, but this time virtually. We work the last almost 10 or 11 months just the way by the virtually, and it's the only way you can share and you can offer to all over the world and then your clients, your customers, all of the paintings that we are offering. Not reinvent the whole cultural per se, but as least find another way to carry out this management and this work. At least in Costa Rica, due to economic issues and government decisions, the budget for the culture sector has decreased considerable since 2020. This year is which was abruptly reduced by almost 17%. There was a major controversy between the health sector, which was positioned as the most important during the pandemic. The education sector also, which also faced a reduction in funds, and the culture sector, which was much more affected than the others. And not only a range of art was affected, like the one I represent, but all kinds of cultural expressions, the theater, the cinema, the musicians, and all of them, well, it was very hard. In other words, in a pandemic, thinking about the cinema, the theater, the concerts, or the circus was unheard of. Everything was closed. Nevertheless, working with paintings, for example, was a lot easier because we continue sharing them through the social networks. A photograph of a painting can be posted without much effort, and hopefully it will reach a client who perhaps due to some fear could not or did not want to make any investment before. So we turn to digital marketing methods. For example, we publish the possibility for the client to pay in installments or with more favorable prices or affordable prices. By the way, well, I brought 25 different artists from those 300 artists that we promoted, and we have almost 30 different paintings here in different techniques, and all of them has the artist price directly, and there are around 35 to 40% of the original prices. Everything is on sale. If you are interested in something, it will be a pleasure to talk about this and to talk to you and tell you something else about every of the artists that I brought. Then, okay, vamos a ver aquí. We promoted roughly 300 artists, and most of them live through very difficult situations. So what does a manager, again, adjust and deal with adversity, but this time virtually, not reinvent the whole culture deal per se. Okay. Then, nevertheless, working with these paintings, now there is no intermediary, and that allows the market to be managed in order to reactive the economic in favor of the artist. Something else very important, but what do we need, generally speaking? Well, many years ago, we found and formed a foundation called Transformation in Violent Times. I brought a couple of prints, a few prints from a foundation. It's the director of that foundation is Juan Carlos Chavarria. He's a very good friend of mine. He's like a brother, and he's a great and recognized artist from Costa Rica. And well, through the Transformation in Violent Times, a foundation which has dedicated itself to working above all on the social side. It is a foundation whose director, Juan Carlos, made the decision to create a series of 21 artworks made with with pieces of real weapons as a powerful peace statement. Agreements